Welcome to our true crime series, where we delve deep into the haunting tales of betrayal, obsession, and the dark realities that sometimes lie hidden beneath the surface of everyday lives. Each episode unearths chilling accounts of individuals who, driven by their desires and circumstances, cross the line between lawfulness and criminality. Today we embark on a harrowing journey through the life of Jessica Simmons, a respected police officer whose descent into darkness led to unimaginable betrayal. In the year 2018, Phoenix, Arizona, was a city bustling with life, its streets patrolled by officers dedicated to maintaining order. Among them was Jessica Simmons, a 34-year-old veteran of the Phoenix Police Department. With over a decade of service, she had cultivated a reputation for being methodical, reliable, and exceptionally dedicated to her work. But beneath her badge lay a turbulent world, a complex web of desires, secrets, and shadows that would ultimately unravel her existence. As we explore Jessica's life, we will witness how the pressures of her demanding job and the burden of her hidden cravings lead her down a treacherous path. Once a figure of authority sworn to protect and serve, Jessica finds herself entangled in a forbidden attraction that spirals into an all-consuming obsession. This story is not just about the act of murder, it is about the psychological unraveling of a woman who once stood on the thin blue line of justice. Jessica Simmons had built an impressive career in law enforcement. Her file was filled with commendations for bravery and excellence, and her high solve rate was the envy of many in her department. However, this dedication came at a cost. Jessica's relentless focus on her job had left her personal life in shambles. Relationships had faltered, and a profound emptiness began to gnaw at her, a void that no amount of professional success could fill. When Laura Mitchell joined the department, Jessica found herself partnered with a fellow officer whose energy and passion for the job were infectious. At 32, Laura was not a rookie. She brought her own wealth of experience and a refreshing perspective to their shared duties. Their initial pairing was intended to balance Jessica's seasoned expertise with Laura's vibrant energy. The two women quickly became the department's dynamic duo, navigating the challenges of police work with remarkable professionalism. Over late-night stakeouts and post-shift drinks, their bond deepened, transcending the badge they wore. Laura saw Jessica as more than just a partner. She viewed her as a confidant and sister-in-arms. As they spent nights in their patrol car watching the city slumber, Laura envisioned a future of shared promotions, possibly even making detective together one day. Unbeknownst to Laura, the woman she trusted most was harboring an insidious obsession that would ultimately lead to her demise. As autumn descended upon Phoenix, Laura invited Jessica to dinner at her home. It was a simple gathering intended for camaraderie, a chance for Jessica to meet Laura's husband, Nick. Initially, Jessica accepted the invitation out of politeness rather than genuine interest. But that night would set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in betrayal, violence, and a partnership shattered beyond repair. From the moment Jessica laid eyes on Nick Mitchell, something stirred within her, a longing she thought she had buried deep. As the evening unfolded, Jessica became increasingly captivated by Nick's charm and charisma. She found herself laughing too loudly at his jokes and stealing glances at his strong, kind hands. As the atmosphere thickened with intimacy and wine, Jessica's attraction intensified, igniting a fire of desire that she could no longer ignore. As they toasted to partnerships and lasting friendships, Jessica's smile faltered, the guilt of her burgeoning attraction clashing with her loyalty to Laura. Unbeknownst to them, this dinner marked the beginning of Jessica's descent into obsession and betrayal, a path that would lead to unimaginable consequences. In the weeks following that fateful dinner, Jessica's visits to the Mitchell home became more frequent. Initially innocent, these encounters quickly morphed into something far more sinister. By early 2019, Jessica and Nick were engaging in a covert relationship, stealing moments together under the guise of friendship. Text messages that started innocently soon turned flirtatious, blurring the lines of their friendship. On a rainy afternoon in April, Laura was working a double shift when Jessica visited the Mitchells' home, fully aware of Laura's absence. That day would become a turning point, a moment of weakness that would forever alter the course of their lives. Jessica and Nick surrendered to their desires, their passionate encounter marking the beginning of a reckless affair that would spiral dangerously out of control. With each secret meeting, Jessica's obsession grew, feeding a toxic mix of jealousy and resentment toward Laura. Oblivious to the betrayal unfolding right under her nose, Laura continued to confide in Jessica about her happy marriage, each word piercing Jessica's heart like a dagger. As summer transitioned to fall, the emotional toll of the affair weighed heavily on Jessica. Her once stellar performance at work began to slip, and the pressures of her deceit took their toll on her mental state. The longer she hid her betrayal, the more it consumed her. In November, a routine domestic disturbance call became the catalyst for chaos. Jessica and Laura entered a dimly lit apartment, separating to search the rooms. When Jessica heard Laura's panicked cry for help, she raced toward the sound, her instincts kicking in. What she found froze her in horror. A large man had Laura pinned against the wall. Without hesitation, Jessica fired her weapon, hitting the assailant and saving Laura's life. But in that moment, a dark thought crept into her mind. What if Laura were to disappear? What if she could eliminate the obstacle standing between her and the life she yearned for with Nick? From that night onward, Jessica's obsession twisted into something darker. She began fantasizing about a life free of Laura, consumed by thoughts of what it would be like to be with Nick openly. These thoughts consumed her, poisoning her mind and twisting her moral compass. As winter settled over Phoenix, her plan began to take shape. Jessica meticulously studied the patterns of crime in their patrol area, looking for the perfect opportunity to stage a tragedy that would free her from the bonds of her secret life. The moment finally arrived on a cold night in March 2020. As the police radio crackled to life with a 911 call, Jessica felt the adrenaline surge. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the opportunity she had meticulously planned for. She and Laura approached a convenience store, the atmosphere thick with tension. Jessica felt a moment of hesitation as they entered the store, guns drawn. Inside, chaos reigned, overturned shelves and terrified customers. In the midst of the turmoil, Jessica deliberately maneuvered herself and Laura into a vulnerable position, seemingly pinned down by the robbers. Then, in a horrifying moment that would haunt her forever, Jessica turned her weapon on Laura, firing 2 shots meant to kill her partner. The aftermath of the shooting was expertly orchestrated by Jessica. She feigned panic and urgency as she called for backup and medical assistance, all while weaving a carefully crafted narrative of a robbery gone wrong. The flashing lights of the police cars painted a surreal scene as Jessica stood outside the store, her uniform stained with Laura's blood, a haunting reminder of the betrayal she had committed. But Jessica's triumph was fleeting. The cracks in her carefully maintained facade began to show almost immediately after Laura's death. As investigators began to dig deeper into the events of that night, inconsistencies in Jessica's story raised suspicion. Internal affairs, initially sympathetic to her grief, grew skeptical. Surveillance footage did not align with her account, and whispers began to circulate among her colleagues. As the investigation into Laura's murder intensified, Jessica found herself caught in a web of her own making. Every piece of evidence tightened the noose around her neck. The once certain future she envisioned with Nick now seemed like a distant, unattainable dream, forever tainted by the blood of her partner. In a gripping turn of events, Jessica was summoned to an interrogation room, facing her fellow officers who had once looked up to her. As the air grew thick with tension, the evidence against her mounted printouts of her intimate messages with Nick laid bare her betrayal. In a moment of despair, Jessica broke down and confessed to everything, revealing the twisted reality behind her actions. The revelation sent shockwaves through the department. An officer sworn to uphold the law had taken her partner's life in cold blood. The fallout was devastating, not only for Jessica but for all those who had trusted her. Meanwhile, Nick found himself embroiled in the aftermath of Laura's murder. Oblivious to the depth of Jessica's obsession, he was faced with the shocking reality of her confession. Investigators scrutinized his involvement, tracing their affair and the role he played in Jessica's descent into darkness. Nick had been a pawn in Jessica's twisted game, and the weight of guilt bore down on him as the truth came to light. In a desperate attempt to protect himself, Nick recorded Jessica's confession during a late-night meeting. As he turned the recording over to the police, he felt the crushing weight of his own betrayal. He had loved Laura, but in the end, he had unwittingly set the wheels in motion for her murder. Jessica's trial became inevitable, and on May 24, 2021, she stood before the judge a far cry from the proud officer she once was. The overwhelming evidence against her sealed her fate. As the life sentence without the possibility of parole was read, she caught a glimpse of Nick in the gallery, his face a mix of disbelief and profound sorrow. The weight of their shared destruction loomed between them, an unspoken acknowledgement of the choices that had led them both to this moment. Jessica was led away in handcuffs, her mind racing back to where it all began, the first dinner at Laura and Nick's home. If only she had resisted temptation, she thought. But regrets were futile now. The damage had been done, and the consequences of her actions were irrevocable. Behind bars, Jessica faced the harsh reality of her choices. The once glamorous life she had envisioned, filled with love and partnership, had crumbled into a nightmare from which she could never escape. Each day in her prison cell was a stark reminder of the lives she had destroyed, the trust she had shattered, and the partner she had murdered. She was no longer the officer who patrolled the streets with authority. Instead, she had become a hollow figure, consumed by her darkest impulses and haunted by her past. Nick's life, too, was forever altered. Although he was not imprisoned physically, he was trapped in a personal hell, burdened by guilt and remorse. He could not shake the memory of Laura's laughter, her warmth, and the dreams they had shared. The weight of his betrayal would follow him for the rest of his life, a constant reminder of the role he had played in the tragic events that unfolded. As Jessica sat alone in her cell, she was left to confront the ghosts of her past memories of the woman she once was, the friendships she had destroyed, and the innocent life that had been taken. The thin blue line that once represented honor and loyalty had become Jessica's undoing, exposing her crimes and sealing her fate. Jessica Simmons' story serves as a chilling cautionary tale about the fragility of morality and the devastating impact of unchecked desires. It illustrates how quickly a life dedicated to service and duty can unravel when temptation enters the equation. In her pursuit of love and acceptance, Jessica lost sight of her values, succumbing to a darkness that ultimately consumed her. In the aftermath of the trial, the Phoenix Police Department had to grapple with the fallout from Jessica's actions. Trust within the department had been shattered, and the impact of her betrayal rippled through the community. Fellow officers questioned the integrity of their colleagues and wondered how someone they had once admired could turn into a murderer. Laura's family mourned the loss of a vibrant life taken too soon, and the community grieved for the fallen officer whose dedication had once inspired so many. Her name became a somber reminder of the tragic consequences of betrayal, obsession, and the relentless pursuit of something that ultimately destroyed her. As we conclude this episode of our true crime series, we reflect on the complexities of human nature, the desires that drive us, the secrets we keep, and the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most disciplined exteriors. Jessica Simmons' journey from a dedicated officer to a cold-blooded murderer serves as a stark reminder that anyone, regardless of their background or profession, can fall victim to their inner demons. Her story is a testament to the dangers of obsession and the dire consequences that can result from letting desire cloud one's judgment. As we peel back the layers of this chilling narrative, we invite you to consider the intricate web of choices, motivations, and relationships that shape our lives. Jessica's descent into darkness is not just a tale of one woman's betrayal, but a reflection of the fragile nature of trust, loyalty, and morality. It challenges us to examine the choices we make and the paths we choose to follow, reminding us that the line between right and wrong can sometimes be perilously thin. Jessica's days in prison were filled with long hours of reflection and regret. She often replayed the moments that led to her downfall, each memory a haunting reminder of her choices. In quiet moments, she would imagine what her life could have been, a life where she remained a dedicated officer, a loyal friend, and a trusted partner. But those fantasies were always overshadowed by the reality of her actions. As the years passed, the once vibrant woman began to fade, both physically and mentally. The prison walls closed in around her, echoing the memories of her past life. She sought solace in writing letters to Laura's family, attempting to apologize for the pain she had caused. But words felt inadequate, and she knew there would never be enough atonement for the life she had taken. Meanwhile, Nick struggled to move forward with his life. He attended therapy sessions to help cope with the guilt that weighed heavily on his conscience. Each session forced him to confront his own role in the tragedy. He had loved Jessica, but now he had to grapple with the fact that his affection had contributed to a catastrophic chain of events. Despite the torment, Nick felt a sense of responsibility to honor Laura's memory. He began volunteering with organizations that supported police officers and their families, striving to create a legacy that Laura would be proud of. In sharing her story, he hoped to raise awareness about the pressures faced by law enforcement officers and the importance of mental health support. Through community engagement, Nick found a renewed sense of purpose, yet he couldn't escape the shadow of what had transpired. The community's perception of him changed. Once viewed as a charming husband, he now bore the heavy burden of betrayal, both to Laura and to the badge he once held dear. As Jessica's prison term continued, she encountered other inmates with stories of their own. Each tale served as a reflection of her own life, a testament to how easily one's path could diverge into darkness. In group therapy sessions, she listened to women who had made choices similar to hers, each grappling with the consequences of their actions. In sharing, she found a semblance of understanding and, for the first time in years, a glimmer of hope that redemption might be possible. Though she could never erase the past, Jessica began to focus on self-improvement, taking classes and participating in programs aimed at rehabilitation. She wrote about her experiences, exploring the psychological aspects of her choices. Her writings became a cathartic release, helping her confront the darkness within while acknowledging the pain she had caused. As the community of Phoenix worked to heal from the wounds inflicted by Jessica's actions, they began to establish initiatives aimed at improving mental health resources for police officers. Understanding the pressure and isolation that often accompany law enforcement work, community leaders rallied to create support systems for officers facing similar struggles. Memorials for Laura sprang up around the city, honoring her service and sacrifice. Her story served as a reminder of the importance of loyalty and integrity in a profession fraught with challenges. Community members shared stories of Laura's kindness and dedication, ensuring that her legacy lived on despite the tragedy that unfolded. Several years into Jessica's sentence, an unexpected opportunity arose. A journalist approached her, seeking to write a book about her story. Initially hesitant, Jessica agreed, recognizing it as a chance to confront her past and share her experiences in hopes of preventing others from following a similar path. As the journalist delved into Jessica's life, she found herself reflecting on her choices with an unprecedented clarity. She spoke candidly about her obsession, the weight of her betrayal, and the moments that led her down a dark path. It was a cathartic process, allowing her to articulate the lessons she had learned in the years following her arrest. The book became a powerful narrative, exploring themes of morality, temptation, and the complexities of human relationships. Readers were drawn into the depths of Jessica's mind, understanding her struggles and the intricate web of choices that had led to her fall from grace. Through the book, Jessica aimed to reach those who might be teetering on the edge, hoping to offer insight into the dangers of obsession and the importance of seeking help. Her story was not merely one of tragedy, it was also one of redemption and resilience. As the publication date approached, Jessica felt a mixture of anxiety and hope. She understood that while the past could never be rewritten, she had the power to influence the future. In sharing her story, she hoped to foster understanding and compassion, encouraging others to seek support before their desires spiraled out of control. As we wrap up this episode of our true crime series, we reflect on the complexities of human nature, the desires that drive us, the secrets we keep, and the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most disciplined exteriors. Jessica Simmons' journey from a dedicated officer to a cold-blooded murderer serves as a stark reminder that anyone, regardless of their background or profession, can fall victim to their inner demons. Jessica's story is a testament to the dangers of obsession and the dire consequences that can result from letting desire cloud one's judgment. It challenges us to examine the choices we make and the paths we choose to follow, reminding us that the line between right and wrong can sometimes be perilously thin. Through this exploration, we also recognize the strength of community and the importance of mental health support. The legacy of Laura Mitchell and the lessons learned from Jessica's tragic journey serve as guiding lights for those who strive to navigate the complexities of life with integrity and compassion. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey through the life of Jessica Simmons. As we conclude this episode, we encourage you to share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. What do you think drives someone to such extremes? How do we recognize the signs of obsession before it leads to destruction? If this episode left you shaken or intrigued, please like and subscribe for more tales that delve into the darkest corners of the human soul. Together we will continue to explore the depths of human behavior, uncovering the stories that remind us of the fragile line we all walk between light and darkness. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember that the truth can often be stranger and darker than fiction.